Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee meeting on March 15th, 2021 at 6:31 p.m. We have councilors participating in the chamber and remotely via Teams meeting per the governor's order. All votes will be a roll call vote. I will begin by asking for a roll call to confirm attendance. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas is present.
Councilor Tenera.
Councilor Tenera is present.
Councilor Oram. Councilor Perlman.
Councilor Perlman is present.
And Councilor Irish is present. Thank you. We have three items. Also in the chamber, we have President Ossing, Councilor Landers, Councilor Naving, Councilor Doucette, as well as remotely, we have Councilor Roby. We have three items this evening on the agenda. A transfer request, a request to create a new position in the Marlborough Municipal Employees Union, and a proposed salary ordinance, Chapter 125, personnel. And we will go to the second order item on tonight's agenda, order number 21-100-8212A. Communication from Mayor Vigent, together with request from Public Works Commissioner Sean Duvall to create the position of resident drop-off station attendant with job description. The position would report to the Assistant Commissioner of Operations to the drop-off station foreman, and I will read the letter submitted by the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, I'm submitting for your approval a request to create a new position in the Marlborough Municipal Employees Union as a permanent resident drop-off station attendant. The city has been functioning with seasonal attendants for some time, and we would like to provide consistency and maintain a maximum level of customer service to residents as noted in Commissioner Sean Duvall's memo attached. The salary table is derived by researching similar-sized communities. Additionally, the job description and salary has been discussed with the MMEA as required by our collective bargaining agreement. Thank you for your consideration, and please do not hesitate to contact me or Commissioner Duvall with any questions. Sincerely, Arthur G. Vigent, Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Assistant Commissioner Scott. Oh.
Good evening. I'm here to take any questions you have on the new position.
Thank you, Commissioner. I will open that up to the Finance Committee first. Oh, I do see Councilor Oram.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm having trouble with my laptop, so I'm on my cell phone, but I'll be participating, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Oram. And again, I will open it up to the committee members if we have any questions first for Assistant Commissioner Scott. I do want to, we did in our email, we did receive the updated with the salary for the 40-hour position instead of a 35-hour position.
That's correct. That was put in an error. It should be 40 hours. And the reason for that, it needs to be 40, is it's 9 hours a day for 6 days a week. We want that permanent position there as long as possible. And then we'll have 1 to 2 seasonal employees to fill the gaps in those hours. So in the summer, we like to have, especially on a Saturday, as many people as we can there. Around now, we can get by with maybe 1 attendant, and we'll staff it as we go that way, but we'd like to have that permanent employee for 40 hours, yeah.
And you'd still be keeping some of the seasonal, right?
Yes. 1 to 2, it'd be nice to have 2 just to have some redundancy for when people go on vacation and things like that, have people trained.
Okay. And I'm thinking, obviously, with the 40 hours, there could be down the road possibility to be able to partake in overtime shifts.
Correct.
One thing I was pleased with, Commissioner, as well, is that having, focusing and having good, strong customer support skills. I think that's important, especially, for the residents with the drop-off attendant. The improvements that you've made down there have been wonderful. So thank you.
Mr. Chair, Councilor Perlman?
Council Perlman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you so much for bringing this position over. I just had a couple questions. The first being, is there any interest in getting someone who might be bilingual or might be able to reach out to various members of our community where English is not their first language?
Sure. So the person that's down there now, one of them, Dave, is bilingual. He usually works the booth when they come up so he can direct people. We have the signs down there that we're in the process of changing that are bilingual. The map and the regulations you get when you get your sticker, you're asked at the time, and those are bilingual as well.
I appreciate that. I know we've spoken about that as well, to have Spanish and Portuguese available for some of our residents. And I'm curious too, what kind of outreach do you plan to do for the position, or is there an ideal candidate that you're thinking of? I know it's some of the kind of entry-level requirements are not very restrictive, and I know the salary obviously is hourly. So I was just curious if you could speak to that, what the outreach plan will look like.
So we will post it, and the person that's there will put in for it. He has a lot of the experience. A lot of what you're learning there is learning the software, learning the rules, learning how to deal with people, what our expectations are to deal with people. So it will be posted out into the public. It will be posted in the union and out as well. So.
Great. No, I think that's really great to share it, and glad that there are some people already with the skill sets. And then I know you mentioned that there would also be seasonal workers or seasonal help. Can you describe kind of when that would be happening? Is that sort of there's certain peak periods of the day or the week, or just seasonally when we anticipate some of that higher demand?
Sure. Right now they're both seasonal. One of the workers wasn't working for the whole month of January and February because we slow down a lot. And it's more we watch and adapt to what's happening there at the time. But we know definitely January, February, parts of March, some of this, that's a slow time. Sticker time is the big time. We'll be full staff for that. So we kind of know that. So I could get into it now. So we'll have a foreman there. We'll have an SMEO, which is an equipment operator, who takes the trips to Harvey's for recycling or across the street for trash, and then he also goes to Cavicchio's for the composting of the yard waste. He also moves stuff around. The foreman can do that as well. They're operators as well. If the SMEO is gone, he'll be able to do anything an equipment operator can do as well. The attendants are just for logging people in with the software and watching people and what they're doing, helping to educate them, and if they're not doing the right thing, to instruct them that that's not the right thing to do.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Mr. Chairman?
Council Orem.
Thank you. Couple questions to the Assistant Commissioner. Hi, Ted. First question would be related to the abilities and skills. It does say they have to be able to know have to have computer skills, which leads me to the question, are we looking to get more innovative when it comes to obtaining a transfer permit such as online? And is that something that's expected that this new person might be able to guide people to that process?
So what we've done the people that down there run the software, so they have to know how to, and there's multiple things to do, and it's a software we have that's tailor-made for us, and we can adapt it on the fly when we want to check something else. They get trained on that. As far as for stickers, we have been in the last 2 years, and we still are selling them at the DPW. You don't have to go to the transfer station. We didn't get to roll it out because we had the new stickers this year, but we start selling in June. We're gonna have them at the DPW, extended hours later at night so people can come down there. We'll try to make it as convenient as possible. One of the things we can look at with IT is trying to do, getting them online. Some of that stuff we want to make sure people still don't necessarily understand about their vehicle and what they need. So I've looked at other cities and towns online, and I'm not sure if they don't submit the right information, you have to send it back, or how that works, but we will explore that as well. Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. In respect to the actual position, and I look forward to seeing more innovation as we move along so people don't have to travel to the DPW. Or I was fortunate to get my sticker 2 years ago, but as I was going to the transfer station towards the maybe it was 3 years ago, there was quite a line trying to get stickers at the end of June. So I think as we get more innovative, that will help if people can get them online. And that's why I asked the question. I was glad to hear you say the person, whoever may get this job, will be able to help people as it relates to computer applications if we get to that point of getting a sticker online. The other question, the person obviously works near hazardous materials and waste and so forth. The question I have is, what type of training do they receive in respect to appropriate training for chemicals in the workplace and safety hazards?
They do, there is some rudimentary training. The one thing is like the fluorescent bulbs and that stuff. That's probably the only thing that's really hazardous. We have a spill kit there, and they've been taught how to use that. If that happens, it hasn't been too. I don't recall an incident since I've been here that we've had anything go on. But that's pretty much all I can think of is the fluorescents and the thermostats that would be in that shack if they broke.
Okay, and I do believe, and I'm sure you know about it, the Maya trainings for hazards for all your workers in respect to safety. So, and I know there's been an initiative by your department to make sure people are properly trained. So I would say whoever is getting into this position, that training be part of the introduction to the job. So that way, if they haven't been there and they're new, they have that training completed. Thank you, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Orm.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Council Landers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to mention, and thank Commissioner Scott, it's just amazing.
Microphone.
Just about a year ago, that was in committee, Public Services, and I think, Mr. Scott, you and your whole staff have done a tremendous job. You know, it looked like everything was starting late. You know, the stickers weren't ready, and this wasn't ready, and that wasn't ready. And the transition was unbelievable. All of a sudden, July 1st came, and then we were working our way through the summer and by the fall. And it's amazing how few, criticisms, I've heard. It just seems like it fell right in, and I think that's a lot of credit to you and your staff and the people that work down there. They're an outstanding bunch. You can tell they're very user-friendly, and so I think it's gone well. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council Landers. Council Doucette.
Thank you very much, Councilor Irish. So Ted, couple of questions. First is, so person who comes in is going to work 5 days a week, right?
Excuse me?
5 days a week, right?
Yeah, so the attendant would be 40 hours, yeah.
Right. The facility's open 6?
8 to 5.
8 to 5. No, meaning how many days is the facility open during the week?
6.
So it's 6.
Monday
closed
through
on Sundays.
Saturday.
So is he going to be paid overtime for
It
Saturday?
shouldn't be overtime if unless he's got 40 hours. If we have one seasonal or two,
Okay.
they make up the rest of the hours.
Okay, that's fine. So,
There may be some times when we need to do it, but it shouldn't be on a regular basis.
right,
no.
I'm assuming he will be there Saturdays and, maybe Mondays off or something like that?
Mhm.
Okay. The other thing, what Councilor Perlman talked about as far as the bilingual, is it going to be English and Spanish or English and Portuguese?
He's English and Portuguese.
Good,
Right
okay.
now, the guy that's there. Anytime in the DPW, especially our job is customer relations, our dispatch, that's always a plus when we hire. Our dispatcher
Yep.
is bilingual. So
Yep.
that's always something we look for. So
Right.
that's always a plus.
Right, well, you made a reference to having signs, you may want to think of having the signs trilingual, you know, English, Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese, because there's a large enclave of Portuguese in the community. And I'm assuming if he has vacation, sick, and training, you're going to have, there's other part-time people that are going to fill the holes, basically. That's where I was going to go with this, you know.
The SMEOs everybody that's there will be trained to be able to do that work. So,
Okay.
And even with the SMEOs, we've also trained from the streets division, when I say SMEO, I mean equipment operators. Other equipment operators are also trained in the equipment operator job and the attendant job. So
Okay.
there's plenty of redundancy for down there.
Okay, good. I agree with Councilor Landers. The work that you guys have done down there is just absolutely amazing. I applaud all the work that you guys have done. Is there going to be any need of a special license for equipment?
No, so the attendants won't need because they'll just be logging people in and directing people. The equipment operator and the foreman can both operate the loader or the roll-off truck. And for any reason they're down, I can grab someone from the streets division or another division and so they can run all equipment operators can run a loader. And we have probably about 7 or 8 people now trained on the roll-off truck, so.
Yeah, I'm more concerned, one of the references to perform snow removal, I assume that requires a plow.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Snow removal is one of the items, right? You know,
That's on there because it's a union position, so we have to kind of they're required, much like anybody, shovel off in front of around the guard shack.
okay, but
So-
not necessarily use a plow.
No, they're
Okay.
they're
Okay.
not supposed to be using the plow. They're supposed to
Yeah.
clean off around with like shoveling.
Okay,
Where we have containers where you can't get
Yep.
the plow, they're shoveling out there, or a snow blow if we need to,
sure.
depending on the.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just wondering, you know, make sure if you needed a Class 2 license or something like that, that it was going to be part of the system, you know, part of the quote. But no, I think this is something that's really needed, and appreciate you taking the initiative to actually get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Any further questions from the council?
Mr. Chairman, Councilor Orem again.
Councilor Orem.
Didn't mean to say again, but as the discussion went on, so far right now then, this position is being requested, but no one is presently filling it. It will be advertised, am I correct in asking that way?
That is correct. The whole process will be that we will get to send it to the city solicitor to advertise, absolutely.
Okay, because we've been using a gender, he, and I just want to make sure this is open to everyone, that it'll be posted and properly advertised for anyone to apply that may wish to apply that has the qualifications. And Commissioner Scott, I remember in my day when I had Homeland Security meetings, if we used an acronym, you had to put a quarter into the pool in the center of the desk. But I'll forgive you this time because you immediately came back and explained that acronym. Thank you. Just a little smile, I hope.
Thank you, Councilor Orem. Any further discussion? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
And then I will ask President Ossing, President Ossing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to remind council, this is a salary change, so you have to vote, if the Finance Committee is comfortable with the position, you have to vote on the job description, you have to vote on the salary ordinance, which is not in a salary ordinance form, so it's got to be put in form, but if you agree, everybody agrees with 40 hours, you got to vote for that and then say, refer to the solicitor to get in proper form,
legal form.
ordinance format, and then you need a transfer for funding. You got to find out where it's being funded from. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr.
So all those things for this order, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, on
Council.
that note from President Ossing, I agree. And my motion to approve was for as presented and exactly as President Ossing explained it.
It's all-
Mr. Chairman, this is Councilor Roby.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you. I believe when you started this conversation, you started it off with one of the very specific items on the agenda, which is only to approve the position. There is a further item on that talks about the actual salary ordinance, and I don't remember if there's a transfer associated with it, but to me, all that's on the table now is approving the position.
Thank you, Councilor. What we could do is approve the communication from the mayor, which would be the job position. And then the second one we can go on. Is that okay with Council Oram as well?
Yeah, that would, Mr. Chair, that would be fine. In fact, if you want to mention the two order numbers, that's what I was saying, as presented on our agenda. We had two orders. The first one ends in 21-2A, and the other one is 21-2B.
If that's the pleasure of the finance team, we can do that, and that would include the sending it to the city solicitor, put it in proper legal form, as well as to vote on the job description, and obviously down the line to eventually advertise that.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, this is Councilor Roby again. I believe the committee all received an updated salary ordinance. So do we need to make sure that we're voting, not we, you, are voting on the updated one and not the one that was in our packet?
That is correct.
So it hasn't really, discussion hasn't taken place yet. So I'm not on the committee, but to me, it seems like they need to really be two separate discussions.
Yep. Council Austin.
Thank you,
President
Mr. Chair. So, as Council Roby indicated, and I said earlier, if you all want the position, there's motion by Council Oram to approve the position. You can approve the position. Then you got to get a salary ordinance. Then you got to do a job description, and then you got to find out where the money's coming for to pay for it. 4 things. And then it's got to get advertised if everybody's happy. So, first thing, do you want the position, which is what Councilor Oram said, and that takes care of Councilor Roby's concern, which is the A portion of the order.
Thank you, President Austin. Yes, and that's what we will vote on. Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 21-100-8212A, the job description, and I will call the roll. Councilor Dumas.
Councilor Dumas votes yes.
Councilor Tenera.
Councilor Tenera votes yes.
Councilor Oram.
Councilor Oram votes yes.
Councilor Pearlman.
Councilor Pearlman votes yes.
And Council Ash votes yes. It carries 5-0. And the next item is order number 21-100-8212B, proposed salary ordinance, Chapter 125, personnel salary schedule, to add the position of resident drop-off station attendant. And we did get the updated 40-hour-a-week salary amended with the salary table. And I will open that up to any discussion from the finance team.
Motion to approve. Oh, sorry, Councilor Perlman, I didn't see your hand.
Oh, Council Perlman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a quick question. Is there any concerns about hiring at the step 0, or is that typical for this type of position? I just want to make sure if you advertise it, and let's say there aren't as many people interested, what would then happen?
I'll defer that to Assistant Commissioner Scott.
We'll have to see. I would think we could find someone at step 0.
I know that, a good question, Council Perlman, because I know when I spoke to Mr. Scott, I kind of had some of the same reservations as well.
Okay, thank you. I just was curious if you would have to come back to us if, like in the past for other positions, the mayor has come down for the steps, and so I didn't know if that would be occurring in this instance, in the rare circumstance if that happened.
Yeah, good question, Councilman. Councilor Tenera.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at both, I don't know if these, I'm looking at these and they look the same to me, the 2 salary tables. Was there another one that I'm missing that for the change?
The one that was originally in the packet one that originally came in the packet had the calculation for only 35 hours, and then the one that we received this morning from Commissioner Duval was for 40 hours per week,
Okay, very good.
which starts at $37,440 and goes to level 3, which is $42,317.60. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just want, for my own clarification, it's an hourly rate, and then the salary, is there overtime? Will there be overtime with this job?
If there's overtime, it's at 1.5 times
Time and a
in
half.
accordance with the union contract.
Okay, I just wanted to know, because my view, salary has a different term than hourly, so I just wanted to get that clarified, so appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman?
Council Orem.
Thank you. Quick question, now that I have it in front of me too, the steps and the levels, and I understand it's for the 40 hours, but the going rate starting at step 00 at $18 an hour, where did we find that from comparable towns in municipalities, cities and towns that have this type of position? The reason I ask is one, I am reviewing and plan to review further salaries and various hourly rates in our city to see how we compare to others, as we see that through all these changes in our area, it's very expensive now to live in Marlborough. And if we expect people to live nearby even, it's expensive. And are we offering at the going rate was my first question. And how did we arrive at $18 as the starting step? And the second question I guess I would have on this, now that we're talking about the salary, is are there going to be any personnel down at the transfer station that will be making more than this as assistants?
The attendants will all make, and the intent was even for the seasonal to make the same scale. However, it would be based on their experience as well. So the equipment operators are in a different scale, and the foreman certainly in a different scale.
Okay. And if I may, Mr. Chair, through you to Commissioner Scott, how do we derive to this amount, $18 starting point, to the $20.35?
Mr. Chairman, this is Sean Dival, Commissioner of Public Works.
Good evening, Mr. Duval.
Thank you. I'm joining you remotely here, and video's not working. I'm hoping you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what we did when we came up with this salary schedule is we did some comps with 3 or 4 other municipalities. We saw several that were part-time, several that were full-time, and the $18 per hour to start step 0 was fairly competitive with the 3 or 4 other towns that we looked at.
Thank you, Commissioner. That does help and answers my question. Thank you. Can you what town, do you know the communities you were surveying?
That was conducted through HR. I have those communities. I just don't have them in front of me right now.
If I may, Mr. Chair, through you to the Commissioner, if you wouldn't mind forwarding those communities to me, and maybe the other councils are interested as well. Be curious to see what towns they were before our final vote on this at the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sure.
Councilor. Thank you, Commissioner Duval. Any further questions? Councilor Tenir.
No, I was just gonna make a motion to approve.
Okay, and motion would be to approve, send it to the city solicitor.
Advertise.
We'll be eventually advertising after we report it out of committee.
Yeah, you need, if I may, Mr. Chair, you need to get the final version in proper format before you, I mean, it can just be submitted on the agenda, and if everybody's happy, the council's happy when the solicitor sends it on Monday in proper format, you can just make a motion at the council meeting Monday night to go ahead and advertise, as long as the finance committee is happy with the the ordinance, or the 40-hour per week, the salary that's there, and if it comes back the same as what you see it now in proper format,
Yep.
you go advertise it on Monday night.
So make sure it's sent to the city solicitor.
So move.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 21-100-8212B, proposed salary ordinance, chapter 125, personnel, salary schedule to add the position of resident drop-off station attendant. Any further discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. I will call the roll. Counselor Dumas.
Counselor Dumas votes yes.
Counselor Tenera.
Councilor Tenera votes yes.
Counselor Oram.
Council Oram votes yes.
Counselor Pearlman.
Counselor Pearlman votes yes.
And Counselor Irish votes yes. It carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. President.
so one minor detail, we got to fund the position. So if the auditor's on the line, I'd like an explanation as to how the position would be funded, or if
Thank
the
you,
mayor
Mr.
wants to send down a letter at our next meeting that says how the funds, the account needs to be set up for funding for this position. Right now, the only thing that's in the line item is just temporary seasonal help.
Seasonal, okay.
There's no resident drop-off attendant position. We need to have that funding in the budget in order for this to be complete.
So have the mayor send something down.
Or let you, he needs to let you know how this is getting funded, that's all. And right now, there is no funding for it.
Counselor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To the president's comments, I just have a question. Because this is all within DPW, and DPW, they can do transfers within the department without coming to us, I was assuming that they would handle the funding themselves within DPW. If that doesn't work, then the mayor needs to get involved.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Mr. President, yes.
So Mass General Law 44, Chapter 33, Section A,
Okay,
tells you that if you're gonna create a position, you gotta have funding for it.
okay.
All
So
right,
that's,
so-
you just can't do a cross-fund to do some,
You gotta set something up for it. Right now, there's
Okay.
not setting up. The auditor wants to say that they can, I'll let the auditor's ruling stand. But,
I'm fine with that clarification. Thank you, sir.
Question for,
Mr. Chair?
Counselor Pearlman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know President Ossing said that the auditor is on the line. Are we able to
Yes.
have her speak?
Yes, absolutely. City Auditor Smith, are you, Bill?
I am here. Can everyone hear me?
Good evening, Diane.
Good evening. The line item that is in the budget right now for the attendance, I am going to rename it so that it is called attendant, and that is where this position will be paid from.
I'm sorry, Diane, I didn't hear that first part. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So the line item that is in the budget currently is going to be renamed to attendant, and that is where this individuals will be paid from.
Okay. Thank you, Auditor Smith. Thank you. Come on.
No.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is order number 21-100-8229. Transfer in the amount of $243,000 from PEG Fund to IT Department to fund various upgrades to equipment and software. I will read the letter submitted by the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, I'm submitting a transfer request in the amount of $243,000 from the PEG Fund to account to the IT Department to fund various upgrades for the IT Department. Attached is a memo from IT Director Mark Gibbs outlining the capital expenditures that are needed for the IT Department to maintain our network security, vision software upgrade to support our assessors department, wireless antennas, and network devices. Sincerely, Arthur G. Vigent, Mayor. Good evening, Director Gibbs.
Good evening.
If you could just I did have a question on the solar winds hack.
Yes?
So that's obviously a costly event that municipalities have to spend a lot of money for protection.
That is correct. The SolarWinds hack is something that happened globally. I'm sure you people have heard of the SolarWinds hack. We do use SolarWinds, but we weren't affected. Our version of the SolarWinds was not hacked. But in the process, we dismantled our monitoring system, shut it down, and started looking for providers that were obviously take pride in their security. So that's where we came up with a new version of the monitoring system. Also on my list that we have upgrading to the assessor software. They've been asking me for a couple years now to move forward with a cloud-based version. The assessors have been asking me quite often as well. This will provide a cost savings yearly for us in our budget, and it will be online and managed through Vision. The third thing on my item is the $50,000 for the antennas. Obviously, this is an E-rated project. The cost is close to like $225,000 for the replacement of the antennas. Our cost is in the roughly $50,000, so it's almost a no-brainer to go move forward with this. We've already finished the E-rate process, and we will purchase and install those for the July summer vacation. The last item on my list was something that I had in almost a year ago, and then COVID hit, and we decided to hold out on any of our capital requests, just making sure that we had money and stabilization for COVID and for the city and all. That is to replace the switches for our iSCSI, which is our virtual servers. So the way everybody communicates with our virtual machines is through SCSI connections and stuff. They all run at 1 gig right now, so they're highly utilized and they're pegged a lot, the utilization. We want to replace those with a proper 10 gig SCSI connectors. That'll relieve the bandwidth issues that we would have with our devices.
Thank you, Director Gibbs. Thank you.
Well, hopefully I
Thank you.
explained that.
I'll open it to the Finance Committee first, and then to the rest of the council, if any questions. Council Orm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple questions for Mr. Gibbs. The first one on the SolarWinds. Are there any opportunities with other communities to mass purchase, or is this through the procurement at the state level to make sure we get the best product for the best price?
This is through the procurement at the state level. We don't normally share network security with other communities and stuff, but this is done through, internally here. We did review 5 or 6 different monitoring applications, and this one seems to be the most productive for us. So.
And I respect that. I just was curious if, say, 10 to 20 towns and cities got together and said, we'll buy your product, but you have to cut it down 10, 20%, and you're going to get more for your money. And I didn't know if that ever occurs within your industry.
Sometimes it does. We do have mass buying. There is a mass buy, I think it's called, or something like that, where you can buy, different communities get together and get their purchasing power so they can move the price down some. Obviously, this isn't in that menu. It's actually pretty inexpensive to me. It's $70,000 for 3 years. So it's roughly $20-something thousand a year, which is pretty good for what it does. I mean, it alerts us when a server is low on disk space. It'll alert us when utilization gets high on a certain port. It'll tell us when there's a bad nick in the network. We'll be texted. I mean, and we've been testing it out now for about a month, and it's been very effective. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Orman.
Mr. Chair?
Council Perlman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Director Gibbs, for being with us this evening. I had questions. I know you mentioned the time duration that a lot of these programs will get paid over. And especially for like number 3 and 4, how often do these items need to be replaced, or how do you imagine, so if we replace the outdated wireless antennas for the elementary schools, what happens in terms of how long they last, or when would that be re-upped again? I'm just curious to know how often these types of updates have to occur.
Sure. It all depends on the device and the hardware. The antennas, we'll talk about number 3, the antennas. So these wireless antennas, they roughly last about 5 years. That's when we start seeing, connectivity issues, people not being able to connect. Some people can connect, some people can't. We'd have to reset the devices and replace them. With a wireless antenna, they're plugged in and turned on, powered on 24/7. So they do take a beating throughout the time frame. But I do see about 5 years is where we get that breakdown. As for the iSCSI equipment, it's more of a physical switch device. These switches can last up to 10 years. The last time we replaced the switches throughout the school, which was about 12 years. That's the last, the lifetime that we had on those switches. Plus we buy HP Aruba switches as well, which have a lifetime warranty. So what happens is a lot of times is we'll keep spare parts around. So if we have a switch go by, we'll take the switch, replace it right away with the one that we have sitting around, take the one that that was bad, send it back to HP, and within a week we'll get a brand new refurbished switch. So, and that's even 15 years from now we get that. That's not like Cisco where, you have to pay a massive monthly fee and warranty for the Cisco equipment, and then there's always a cost somewhere with them. So.
Thank you. That's very helpful, and good to know that some of those replacements can last a very long time, and that's good to hear, since I know we want the money to go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Perlman. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Couple of questions about the SolarWinds software.
Sure.
Back in the day, it was usually something where you buy a license for software and then basically the support to go with it. Support's usually 10% of the license cost.
Yes.
What is the price structure for this type of security software nowadays? It seems that you are leaning towards, it's now an annual fee that is a combination of license and support. Is that where the model has gone?
That is correct. That is the model here for this. And that is the model for a lot of applications today. The Google Docs, you'll see it's a monthly subscription online. Office 365, you used to be able to buy an Office license and then use it for 15, 20 years.
Right.
Give it to your brother and your friend, and we all had the same Office license.
Yeah.
Today, it's a lot of it's all going subscription-based. The onus is on the end user, is on the vendor. So think of it just like with Vision. Matter of fact, we're going cloud-based, subscription-based with Vision. We had the hardware. We no longer need to have the hardware in-house, so we don't have that cost of hardware. Not that it costed a lot for us because we virtualize everything. But the way that it's structured and the way that they have it is best for us to use the Vision and cloud-based right now.
So your intent is, you're replacing SolarWinds with this company, Vision?
Yes.
Is that the?
Yes.
Okay. What company is that? You know?
I don't have it on hand right now, but I can get that for you.
Yeah, just, I'm curious, just because I used to be in that area, so, I mean, it's a constantly evolving industry, so.
Yeah, it is.
But, okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Is there no further questions or discussion? I will entertain a motion.
Motion
to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Order number 21-100-8229, transfer in the amount of $243,000 from PEG Fund to IT Department to fund various upgrades to equipment and software. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Counselor Dumas.
Counselor Dumas votes yes.
Counselor Tenera.
Counselor Tenera says yes.
Counselor Oram.
Counselor Oram votes yes.
Counselor Pearlman.
Counselor Pearlman votes yes.
And Counselor Irish votes yes. It carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Gibbs. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. I will call the roll. Counselor Dumas.
Counselor Dumas votes yes.
Counselor Tenera.
Counselor Tenera votes yes.
Counselor Oram.
Counselor Oram votes yes.
Counselor Pearlman.
Counselor Pearlman votes yes.
And Counselor Irish votes yes. We are adjourned at 7:17 PM. Thank you, Finance.